Yo, what's up guys, Tanmaya for Simple Snippets, and today's video tutorial is going to be on inheritance in Java. So yes, we are starting off with a very important concept in object-oriented programming under Java, that is inheritance, and it's one of the biggest features of object-oriented programming languages. So this is going to be a little theory as well as a program example in the end, so make sure you watch this video till the end if you don't know this concept. This is a very important concept, so I would recommend that you watch it till the end so that you understand both theory as well as the programming aspect. So yeah, quickly open up your Chrome browser because we'll start off with the theory first, and go to our official website, that is simplesnippets.tech. Under the courses, inside the core Java programming part, you'll see the first link. So this would be the first one, that is inheritance in Java and types of inheritance. So that is going to be today's topic. If you click on it, you will be redirected to this article. So let me just zoom in a little bit. So first we'll start off with a little bit of theory and then we'll also type a program. So yes, inheritance in Java is an important concept, as I mentioned, of object-oriented programming. Now it is a mechanism by which one class allows to inherit the features from another class. So this line is basically what gives away the definition of inheritance. Now if you're coming from a C++ background, and especially if you have watched the object-oriented programming part of C++, so I have a complete playlist on C++, and if you know that, the concept is pretty much similar and the motive behind inheritance is also the same. So what exactly happens is, in inheritance, one class gets all the properties of another class. Now the idea behind inheritance in Java is that you can create new classes that are built upon existing classes. So this gives one of the biggest advantages, that is reusability. So you don't need to create the entire structure of the class again. You just inherit properties from already created classes which are similar. Now the class which inherits the properties of others is known as subclass, or also known as child class or derived class, and the class whose properties are inherited is known as superclass, also known as base class and parent class. Now in C++ usually they are called as base class and child class, or base class and derived class, but in Java it is mostly referred as superclass and subclass, so make sure you know these terms very well. Some important terminologies I've already noted down: superclass and subclass. And why use inheritance in Java? Well, the two most important things are for method overriding. We'll talk about this in detail in next video or in the upcoming videos. So if you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and subscribe right now on this channel so that you get notified whenever I upload that video. If that video is already there, if you're watching this video further ahead in time, then that video would already be there in this playlist. And the second most important is code reusability. So you don't need to create the class again. You just need to use or take those properties from a similar type of class. Okay. One more property is that it maintains consistency. So say for example you have one superclass and there are 5 child classes or 5 subclasses which are all inheriting the properties of superclass. Let's say there is a new change that has happened in the superclass. So by default all the subclasses get all those changes. You don't need to go individually and change in all those 5 subclasses, right? So you don't have to write again and again. So the integrity is maintained. So integrity or consistency for that matter is maintained. So how do you use inheritance? In terms of programming, you use the keyword extends. So you can see this is class super, and then I'm creating class sub, which is extending superclass. Now this subclass can have its own unique data members, that is instance variables and member methods also, which are not there in superclass. So it's not like the subclass needs to have only the methods and instance variables of superclass. Say for example subclass might have some unique instance variables of its own, so that is also possible. Now there's a program over here, but before that let's try to visualize this example. So here you have an employee. Now we have one instance variable, that is salary. So every employee has a salary. Let's assume that. So this is the superclass. Now in a company there can be different types of employees, right? One can be a programmer as shown in this diagram. One can be a tester. One can be a project manager. One can be a team leader, and so on and so forth, right? So every employee will have a salary, correct? So that's why the salary is being kept inside the employee, which is the superclass, and that will by default be inherited in the programmer class. So when programmer inherits that, it doesn't need to create the salary variable or instance variable separately. It comes from the superclass. But let's say in a particular company, programmer has one more salary component, that is bonus. So let's say a tester does not get it, right? Programmer is a superior, right? I know that debate would go on and on, but let's assume that our programmer gets a separate bonus which is not given to the tester nor given to any other type of employee. So that in that way I can create an instance variable for the programmer exclusively. So this is not there in the employee because we don't want that to be shared amongst other subclasses. So this is how the visualization looks like. Now let's see that program. In fact, what we can do is we can go ahead and type that program. So we'll take another example. You can copy paste this code and try to debug it and try to run it in your NetBeans IDE. But I would not recommend that you actually copy paste this. I would recommend that you type it out yourself. This is there for practice purpose. And before actually getting into the programming part, let's also talk about the different types of inheritance in Java. So there are three main types of inheritance. This fourth and fifth, I'll talk about it in a minute. The first one is single inheritance, where there is one single subclass inheriting from superclass. There is hierarchical inheritance, where there is one superclass and multiple subclasses inheriting directly from that superclass. There is multi-level inheritance. So there is one superclass, there is level 1 of subclass, and that subclass acts as a superclass for the level 2 subclass. Okay. So essentially subclass 2 also gets the properties from superclass also, but it gets via this subclass 1. Now if you're coming from a C++ background, you probably must have also seen hybrid and multiple inheritance. However, it is not directly supported in Java. The reason why it is not supported in Java is because Java tried to reduce the complexity, because in multiple inheritance, if you've seen the C++ video, there is a problem of ambiguity which arises when there are same instance variables in both classes. So the third subclass or the subclass which is at the lowest level doesn't know which method or which instance variable is to be called. So that's why in order to actually exclude that complexity, these type of inheritance are not directly supported at all, but that can be done using interfaces. Okay, so that's what is there in this entire para. You can read it out. We'll talk about interfaces in a separate video because it is a new concept in Java, and if you're coming from C++, you've probably not heard of this. So right now we'll just look into single, hierarchical and multi-level inheritance. And this was a little bit of theory. You can go through this article properly, just read it out once, see the program. Let's quickly jump to the NetBeans IDE so that we can get along with the programming part now. Okay, so let's start off by creating a class named animals. So outside the public class inheritance example, so this is the project name that I gave, so that's why we got this class, public class. So whenever you create a new project and give it a name, the class is similar to what the name you give. So what I'm going to do is outside this class, I'm going to create one more class saying class animals. Inside this class, I'm going to create a method which is going to be void print message. And inside this method, I'm just going to print a message system.out.println animal method. Okay. So this is our class number 1, which is going to act as a superclass. So this is superclass. Now I'm going to create one more class, which is class dogs. But this class is going to extend or inherit properties from the animals class. So I'm going to say extends animals. But inside this, I'm not going to type anything. But we know since dog extends animals, by default, this void print message should also be coming to the dogs class, right? That's the concept of inheritance. That is all the properties and behavior, that is all the variables and methods by default are inherited in the subclass. So this dogs is our subclass over here. So to confirm whether this print message has come inside this dogs, let's try to create an object of dogs. So I'm going to say dogs d1 is equal to new dogs. So d1 is an object of dogs. Okay. So let's see if we get access to the print message method. So I'm going to say d1 dot, you can see over here print message is there available, right? Which means that our program is correct. Let's try to run this, and there you go, you can see animal method, which means that without even typing the method inside the dogs class, we still were able to access the print message because of this inheritance. So this is what we are talking about. So this is single level inheritance, what we're doing. Now one very important thing that I haven't mentioned up until now is only those methods and instance variables are inherited by the subclasses which are declared as public or default or protected. Okay, if I declare this method as private, then I won't be able to access. You can see immediately I'm getting an error because I have made this method private, which means that other than objects of animal class, no other method, even though it is inheriting, will be able to access this method. So I know we have not talked about access modifiers in detail. So we'll probably cover the concept of access modifiers in upcoming video, probably the next video after this, or maybe a couple of videos after this, because we need to understand the 4 different access modifiers in detail. And I decided that I'll just first talk about inheritance and give an example, and then when we come to access modifiers, the idea will be more clear, because we will be able to differentiate between which access modifier is accessible and which is not, once you understand the concept of inheritance. Okay, so if you don't want any of the method or any of the instance variable to come into the subclass or to be inherited in the subclass, you have to make it private. So that's one important thing that you need to remember. Okay, so this was single level inheritance. Let's try to create one more class. So I'm going to say class cats, and I'm going to say extends animals again. So this becomes a case of hierarchical inheritance. Now inside this, I'm going to say void eat. So this is one more method which is unique to cats. So inside this, I'm just going to print system.out.println cats eat. Okay, so this is one method extra which is inside cats. So it is not inside animals. So only cats object can access this, right? So let's try to see if this works. Now inside the main method, I'm going to say cats c1 is equal to new cats. Let's first try to see if we've got the print message from the animals class, because ultimately cats is extending animals, right? So c1 dot print message, yes we have. Let's see if it has its own method, c1 dot eat. Correct, we have that. Let's save this and let's try to run this. So there you go, animal method cats eat. So the first animal method was for the dogs, right? d1 dot print message. But you can see in the output cats eat is also printed, which means the subclasses can have their own unique methods and unique instance variables also. So this was an example of hierarchical inheritance. Now what we can do is we can create one more class and try to perform multi-level inheritance. So I'm going to say class puppy dogs, which probably would extend from dogs, right? So I'm going to say extends dogs. So what I'm going to do is inside dogs, I'm going to create void print dog message. Okay, and here I'm going to say dogs. Okay, inside the curly braces, I'm going to say system.out.println dogs, and inside the puppy dogs, which is extending dogs, I'm going to create print puppy dog message, which is going to print puppy dogs method. So this is an example of multi-level inheritance. So let me just first cut this cats out, because it's making the program a very lengthy program. So just erasing this out, even erasing this out. Now what we'll do is we'll create an object of puppy dog. So we'll say pupp control space p1 is equal to new puppy dogs. Okay, so let's first see what all methods does the puppy dogs class get. So the puppy dogs has its own print puppy dogs message, right? So that is there. Let's try to print that p1 dot print puppy dog message. Okay, now puppy dogs extends dogs, which means it gets this method also, void print dog message. So let's try to print that p1 dot print dog message. Correct, we have access of that. And ultimately dogs is extending animals, so it should also, the puppy dogs method ultimately should also have the void print message, right? So let's try to do that, p1 dot print message. Correct, we are getting access to all the 3 methods. Let's try to run this, and there you go, you can see puppy dogs method, animal method. So this was multi-level inheritance. So in one single programming tutorial we saw all the 3 different types. So this was probably the most basic example. There will be much more complicated examples in further videos. So I hope you understood the concept of inheritance, what are the benefits, how to use inheritance programmatically, and also the different types of inheritance. So that's it for this video, guys. This was a very important video, and upcoming videos will be related to inheritance and some concepts around inheritance. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. If you found this informational, make sure you share it with your friends so that even they understand this concept. And guys, give it a thumbs up so that I know that you liked this video. Drop some comments if you have any queries, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video tutorial. Peace.